How you doing, Hamisu? Good evening.
Good evening, Ahmed.
How did
How
your
is
day?
your day? Fine. And you?
Fine, fine, fine. I said in this country, there's always drama. It's either something is happening. If it's not politically, it is. I don't just want to mention some things on this channel, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean. So recently,
Yeah,
there've been this back and forth with. Okay, let me not say it's a back and forth. It's something Mikel has said for a very long time. Like he said it years ago, and he said it some months back, or let me say a while ago, that he was the one that paid for that 2016. Was it 2016? Yeah, I think it was 2016 Rio Olympics. He said he was the one that
Olympics.
paid
Yeah,
for their flight tickets. Then all of a sudden, when he first said it, when that rumor first came out that Mikel paid, nobody debunked it. Nobody said anything about it, that it was a lie or something. Next thing, the coach of that squad, of that Olympics team, of that Nigerian national team for Olympics, came out to say that Mikel is lying. Let me read something out to you. Let me read it out to you. This was what Mikel said. He said, talk about the corruption where the budget has been signed, where a budget has been signed by the government and somebody sitting on top of that money didn't release that money. There was no money for a flight and the players were anxious. I talked to the coach. We searched for a plane and I ended up paying for it myself. Are you with me?
yeah.
Mm-hmm. He said he talked to the coach. And who was the coach that time? Samson Siasia.
Siasia.
Siasia now responded. And he said, Mikel Obi did not pay any flight money for Olympic Eagles from United States to Brazil for the 2016 Olympics. Nothing like that. Mikel did not pay for any flight tickets of the team. I said this as the head coach of the team then. The same head coach that Mikel was saying he spoke to. He should bring the receipt if he paid. Maybe he's broke and looking for money. Well, about a headshot. He should try other means to make money. Wow. My own is this not embarrassing? From the FA down to coach and player, and I think Mikel was the captain of that squad. Mikel was the captain.
Yeah, he was.
In my opinion, this thing is embarrassing. Like, why is Mikel even saying that? Why is a player, if it is true, why is a player paying for the flight of players instead of our FA? And the coach of that team is saying that it's a lie. So someone is lying. You and I know that someone is lying. It's either Mikel is lying or the coach is lying. Because Mikel said he spoke to the coach to pay and he paid. And the coach now has come out to say it's not true. Mikel did not pay. That Mikel is broke and is looking for money. So in your opinion now, who is lying? Or where do you think? Let's leave the lies. Let's leave the lies first.
Yeah.
Is this not embarrassing? Is this not embarrassing?
Okay. First of all, I think I went through all the saga, or I even went extra mile to look at some other things outside the saga, which was kind of connected to the saga. And what I've seen so far, just like you said, is totally embarrassing for Mikel Obi, for Samson Siasia, for the NFF, for the three parties involved. It's totally embarrassing. And it's also, in fact, it's embarrassing also to the players that participated in that Olympics, Nigerian players that participated in the Olympics. For years now, I think one of the reasons why the Super Eagles or the Nigerian Football Federation as a whole has not been thriving, both in the African and the World Cup, or should I say international stage, is the fact that there is too much, interference from the government. There is too much corruption, when it comes to issue of regarding finances. In fact, and even on-field decisions, there's too much interference from outside sources when it comes to on-field decisions. So, and maybe before I continue with this case, let me just reiterate this, that there was a time where I think so many of us learned that it's only there are some specific players that they don't even get to go to tryouts and everything. They just is some kind of, is it ministers or some top big guns from the government that will just send their names and they will pick in, and stuffs like that. So it's like it's totally embarrassing for the NFF. That being said, let me come back to the whole saga of it. When I saw in the first time when I saw what Mikel Obi said, I was like, wow. Like, and again, not to side with Mikel Obi, but this is not the first time things like this have happened. Let's even assume that it has happened, because I could remember when President Muhammadu Buhari was the commander in chief of Nigeria, the Super Falcons going for, I think it was AFCON World Cup, I can't remember which one, the female Super Eagles, which is the Super Falcons.
Yeah.
They also had issues with their funds. It was the president's chief of staff that paid for their flights, their accommodation, their everything. The late Abba Kyari was the person that paid for their everything before the NFF was, I think, based on the rumors, the NFF later disbursed him or later paid him back the money because there was this budget delay or something like that. So this is not the first time, and I think not just Nigeria alone. This thing has been it's kind of a norm in all these developing countries, especially when it comes to issues like this. There are some times where in India you hear issues like this in their hockey team and all stuffs like that. So, but again, like you said earlier, it's embarrassing to all of us. It's embarrassing to all of us for a player to have to step up and pay for flights of the whole entire team and the entire team going for the Olympics or any tournament, even if it's one friendly match, is entirely embarrassing. Nigeria has enough resources, have enough money to cater for, even if it is 1,000 people that are going for the tournament, Nigeria can pay. So, but it's the corruption that is the problem. And then this one is for Mikel Obi's side. Now, I happen to hear out, apart from what Samson Siasia said, I happen to hear out from another journalist, which was said to have traveled with the squad. You understand? He was said to have traveled with the Super Eagles, with the Nigerian squad then during the Olympics. He also came out. Yes, I can't recall his name. Maybe I will share the video for you on YouTube. I can't recall his name. Where he also claimed, he also made the same claim as Samson Siasia, that Mikel Obi did not pay for anything. That Mikel Obi he did not pay for the flight. Not that he did not pay for anything. He did not pay for the flight. And if you look at, in fact, he even went further to say that, Mikel Obi, the Nigerian government paid $250,000 for the flight, and the plane that they chartered was one Delta something plane like that, and it was the same plane that the US basketball team used to travel during one of their matches or something like that. So it was the same plane that the Nigerian government chartered for the under-23 Olympic team. So, but the issue was that Mikel Obi said that the plane was too small for him. That was what the journalist said. The sport journalist said that the plane was too small for him and all that. So he complained about the size of the plane. Like Mikel Obi did not even follow the squad. That was what the guy was trying to say, that Mikel Obi had to like follow another plane because he complained that the plane was too small for him and all that. And then he moved in for the tournament. Then he also another thing that another claim that he made, which is kind of similar with what Samson Siasia said, was that Mikel Obi actually paid for hotel and other stuffs like feeding. He actually paid for those things because the funds as at that time was not readily available for the team. So he paid for those things, but he did not pay for any flight money. That was, and if you look at what Siasia said, I think there was a time that he was in his comments, he was implying that Mikel Obi might have paid for something, but not fees, but not what they call it, the flight fees. So in general, if you look at it, regardless of whether he paid for anything, it's still embarrassing. And then let me also say this, that if to Mikel Obi's part, let me say to Mikel Obi's part, did he pay for those things and while expecting for refund? That's the question. Or did he just pay
Very
out of,
true. Generosity.
out of generosity?
Yeah.
That's the big question. If he had paid and say, okay, let me just cover the expenses and then NFF should cover me, I think there should be a written agreement
Agreement.
for that.
Yeah.
There should be a written. We are no longer in
He should even keep the
another.
receipts. He should keep he's supposed to keep receipts. If he knows that he wants his money back, he would have kept receipts.
Yes, and
Receipts that
again,
okay,
so
just show the receipts
if
that
he
okay,
hadn't,
you paid for this thing.
so
And that's all.
yes, even if let's say that he hasn't even kept any receipts for anything, but there should be an agreement, even if it's a verbal agreement with the coach, Mikel Obi, and the NFF that okay, guy, maybe you tell the coach must have known that Mikel Obi has covered some expenses, and then the coach will communicate to NFF and say, okay, look, we have arrived to the destination of the tournament. We don't even have a hotel booked. We don't even have anything. So one of our players, Mikel Obi, our captain, has already covered for the expenses. But we want the NFF to now refund him. I think, and immediately the NFF and the coach, even if the NFF doesn't do that, the coach should draft something, even if it's on white paper, draft something, sign for both of them should sign, and then when they get back to Nigeria, then the NFF should also sign, so that even if it takes 100 years, at least a government will come that will be able to cover up for that expense. That's one. Then also, uh, uh, if you look at the perspective of Samson Siasia, you will see that let's even look at, when you are talking about this case, we are not lawyers, we are not in the court, but this like kind of media, so we happen to know some things about trials and all that. So uh definitely Mikel Obi has cases, sorry, Samson Siasia has cases of corruption when it
Yeah.
comes to issue of match fixing, that he was suspended and all that. So putting those into context, you will see that maybe there's tendency that maybe the NFF or somebody at the top, maybe because earlier on when you were saying, you said that Samson Siasia, since from when Mikel Obi made the face podcast, he did not come out to refute him. It was of recent that he came out to
Yeah.
kind of refute him. So maybe somebody at the top, kind of reach out to Siasia and say, okay, guy, you need to come out and clear the air. Maybe if it's really true, you need to come out and clear the air. Or maybe he was pushed or blackmailed into coming out to come and defend the NFF and him and his position as the coach then. And again, if you are even looking at it in that perspective, then we'll now see that recently Samson Siasia was sacked by the NFF as the Super Eagles coach. And he maybe he doesn't have any reason to like still back the NFF, even though he's still a coach in one of the teams, any PFL teams in Nigeria. He can still indirectly still be under the NFF, but you can still say that okay, maybe Samson Siasia is not having any reason to back the NFF. So why is he coming out now? Maybe he's trying to clear his name. Maybe the cases against him are too much that he's trying to clear his name. He's trying to remove his name out of the whole saga or something. But just like you said, somebody is lying. Somebody is not telling us the truth. And if you piece everything together, you will see that each one of these persons involved has his own fault, But the bigger fault lies with the NFF. That's the bigger fault, because to me, I feel that if two parties are clashing, a coach and an ex-coach and an ex-player, they are still indirectly under the NFF. The NFF can still come out and clear the air. I believe the NFF has a spokesperson, the NFF has a president or a chairman, the NFF has all these organs that can come out and clear the air. So it's high time for NFF to come out and say something about this whole thing and clear the air and say, okay, Mikel Obi did not pay for flight tickets, he only paid for accommodation, which we later disbursed him, or which we have an agreement of saying that we're going to disburse him. Now, let me come to the aspect of Mikel Obi. There are so many other players, example, Ahmed Musa, whom has contributed to the Super Eagles, not just in finances, but in so many other ways. I could remember there was a time where Ahmed Musa paid, I think, a sum of, I think, was it 2 million or something, 2 million naira to Kingsley Obiku or something. Kingsley Obiku, a former Super Eagles player a former Super Eagles player that was struggling financially. That he even had a kind of a health condition at a certain point in time where he couldn't even cover his hospital bills, like a bill of just 20, 30 to 50,000, he couldn't cover. So Ahmed, I think somebody reached out to somebody had to, like, on social media, call out the NFF and the ex Super Eagles players, especially those ones that have made it in Europe. He called them out, and the first person that reached out to that ex Super Eagles player was Ahmed Musa. He paid, he paid for his expenses. He even, I gave him some money to start up business or something like that. And again, Ahmed Musa also contributed to, I think, not the Plateau United. There's another feeder team, like a feeder team to that Plateau United. I think they call them Just Jets or something like that. He sponsored. I think he at one point in time he was their sponsor. Also, the feeder team of Kano Pillars, at one point in time, or some people even say that up to now, he's still their sponsor. He's still their major sponsor. He pays for their transportation fees across Nigeria during tournaments. He even pays some of their allowances. He even paid. And even the Super Eagles itself, there are so many times where Ahmed Musa has stepped in to pay for some expenses, hotels and some other things, but he has not come out to say anything. He has not come out to talk about it. Even though Ahmed Musa has
what
been
they're trying to say is that Mikel did it with a good heart. He should not come out to say anything.
No. That's why I said. That's why if you look at what I said, I made mention of the the negatives regarding the Samson Siasia side and the negative regarding the Mikel Obi side. And again, if you look at it, whether the corruption is there or not, to me, I feel that there are some things. See, there is no country or there is no organization, whether it's the FA, whether it's the NLC, whether any organization, whether it's in Nigeria, in US, in UK, call it anywhere, there is, whether you like it or not, there is atom of corruption in those organizations. To me, sometimes I even feel that most of these developed countries are even more corrupt than us. But what they are very good at is they have some kind of check and balances, and then they have some kind of media control. There are some things that you don't come out to say on media that they will allow, that their TV stations or their government will allow to fly out of the world. You understand? So there are so many things that are happening behind the scene where, to an extent, they control the narrative that is coming out of their country.
But if you look at Africa, what do you think should be the solution to this saga? Because as far as I'm concerned, this thing is embarrassing. It's an embarrassment to the NFF and the whole country, Nigeria. People will not take us serious now. They'll be like, people will not take us serious.
Already.
What do you think needs to be done, like, to solve this? Should NFF come out and say, okay, you that paid, bring receipts. If you didn't pay, keep quiet. Or what do you think should happen?
No, I think just like you said, I think the best body to put this matter to rest is the NFF, because I believe they have the technical know-how about everything that's happened. They know the true side of the story. They know the Samson Siasia side. They know the Mikel Obi side. And just like I said earlier, both sides might be saying the truth. Meaning that Samson Siasia might be saying the truth. Because if you look at the comments, he made mention that Mikel Obi did not pay for any flight money. He did not say that Mikel Obi did not pay for other, expenses, maybe hotel or feeding or anything. And then Mikel Obi came out and said that he paid for the flight. So, and also Mikel Obi did not say that he paid for other flights and other, expenses. So there's tendency that the NFF actually paid for, the flight money to their travels, just like what the other journalist said. And then Mikel Obi, while reaching there, they were not having any accommodation or anything. Mikel Obi had to now cover up the remaining expenses. So maybe because of that, Mikel Obi now claimed that he has paid for everything or something. So you understand? And maybe the price for the accommodation and the feeding is even bigger or even more than the price for the flight. So maybe that's why he felt so entitled to say that he has covered for everything. You understand? So to me, I think the only body that will put this matter to rest is the NFF. The NFF should come out and tell us, or tell Nigerians, or tell everybody in the world, in the footballing world, that who paid for what, and admit what do you call it, and admit their own mistake or admit their own guilt. Because now that is where the problem lies. They will not, they won't want to come out and say anything, because anything they say is an admission of guilt, is an admission that they made a terrible mistake then, and they are still making some of these mistakes. So the NFF is the best body to come out and tell us who is on the right side of the argument, who is on the right side. Is it that they paid for it? Mikel Obi paid for the flight, or this guy paid? And then, sorry, before I close, the downside of all this is, you know, there are so many times where Nigeria, people have been advocating that we have players playing in some Nigerians who would rather wait for the England shirt, who would rather wait for the European shirt or America, because we have a good number of Nigerians to playing for America, who would rather wait for an America or European shirt than to come and play for their origin country, which is Nigeria. And these are some of the problems. These are some of the things that are pushing them away from the national team. Yes, we understand that. I even learned that there are some countries that they don't even pay their players for playing in their national teams. I learned that.
Brazil.
But still, even with that,
Brazil doesn't pay.
even with that, you still see that passion in them. That they are not paying doesn't mean they are not covering other expenses. That means they are covering their flights, they are covering their hotel, they are covering their accommodation, they are covering their maybe training facilities, their kits, their everything. Maybe they are covering for it, but the allowances for the match is what the country is not paying. So we need these kind of things. We need these are some of the things that are chasing some of these players outside. It's not everybody that is after money, because see, no matter what Nigeria will give them, it's not up to what their club side will give them, regardless of how lowly the club is. It's not up to what the club will give them. But we need to show that, we need to show them that we cherish their sacrifice, we want their sacrifice, and we deserve to have them play for us.
All right, Hamisu, thank you very much for joining me. Yeah, this is embarrassing. So it's an embarrassment, and the NFF needs to do something about it. They need to come and clear the air so that somebody will not be claiming I paid. The other one will be saying you are lying. Imagine coach and captain exchanging words. This one is saying I paid. This one is saying you are a liar. You are broke. That's why you are looking for money. So it's so embarrassing. But anyways, thank you very much for joining me, Hamisu. I'll see you next time.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much.